Call to order a regular meeting of City Council, Tuesday, March 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary.
President Rogancy.
Here.
Councilman Dwyer.
Here.
Councilwoman McGee.
Here.
Councilman Boyke.
Present.
Councilman Lafferty.
Here.
Councilman Noonan.
Here.
Moore is present. We have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is for adoption of the consent agenda. So moved.
Support Lafferty with discussion.
Discussion, Councilmember Lafferty.
Thank you. I'd like to remove items 4C as in Charlie and 4J as in Juliet.
Any further discussion? Makers of the motion comfortable with moving both items?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan sees a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is for adoption of the agenda. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Yes, 10A is being removed. What was item 4C on the consent agenda is now 14F. What was 4J on the consent is now 14G.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes?
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan sees a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 6A, calendar of pending matters. Motion to receive and file with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Councilmember Moore.
Thank you very much. Just as a reminder, on 12/12, this council requested the clerk to update Municode, and that's not been done. On 12/19, the council requested the civil service rules and procedures and the backup information and meeting notice and agenda from February 2022. We also asked in there for who made the decision to violate the Open Meetings Act, who authorized an attorney to appear there for the Civil Service Commission. On the 19th of January, well, we can skip that one because I think that is taken care of. I think the the shelter is closed at this point. And on the 23rd of January, there was a request for all agreements with QSend Technologies, and that request also has not been fulfilled. Does anyone know if Mitten is closed for good or for the season? We can probably take that off if.
Most likely, it's all the confirmation I've received as well.
Okay, yeah, by next meeting, we'll take that off, Ms. Camp, since it's not relevant anymore.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 7A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 27th, 2024. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Support Noonan. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Madam Secretary?
Yes.
Rogan sees a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8A, approval of the bills of the general revenue funds. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan sees a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Yes. 8B, approval of the bills of the water and sewer system. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Madam Chair, I have to make a correction. I have to add a resolution. I thought this was covered under 14B, and it's not, Mr. Knapp? Okay. So we will add this as, if I can amend the agenda?
Without objection.
Yeah, a motion. Do we need a new motion? Yes, new motion.
I'll move to amend the agenda.
Thank you. Anyone support?
Support.
Support Noonan, and Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Melody said support before me.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, Ms. McGee, thank you.
Maybe you did too.
Ms. Camp, can we make this 14B1? Let's do that, since they kind of go together. So this resolution will be 14B1, which is city requests for congressionally directed spending allocations.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Knapp.
I'll call the question. Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Let's see. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Let's see, Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes, indeed.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 9, audience participation.
Thank you. Members of the audience who would like to speak at this time can do so by grabbing a audience form and putting it in the box there. This is a reminder that per our council rules and procedures, you must write your name and address on the audience form or give your name and address at the podium. You have 3 minutes, and this is for agenda items only. We do have a new clock, so I will ask folks to let us know if it's not working and/or if there's any challenges with it. So, first is Greg Donahoe. And can you let me know that it's working when I hit start?
Okay,
Thank you.
it's working.
Perfect, thank you.
Good evening, Greg Donahoe. My address is on the form. Speaking about agenda items 10B, 13B, and 14A. Regarding 10B, I'm happy that a Sunshine Week resolution is being offered. I would encourage council to take that resolution to heart, and possibly when council enters contracts or other agreements under its own authority, not ones that come from the city that you approve, we know where those are, but that you consider posting those either to the same page where you post agenda items or somewhere similar where it's readily accessible to the public. So the text of the resolution looks good and certainly contains hopeful, aspirational goals that we should all be for. Regarding 13B, there wasn't any detail on it in the packet, but the land bank resolution, I strongly encourage council to not consider a city-run land bank any further. The county has currently suspended action on this. City-run land banks in Michigan are rare. The ones that do exist and are utilized contain just a lot of problems. It's a level of administration a city should not have on its own. If anything should be done, it should be done in concert with the county. I encourage council to suspend action on this. Any further legal support and expense on it, at a minimum, until we see what the county does with a Macomb County Land Bank. Regarding the appointments, I was heartened to see that the community outreach, I'm not sure what that position does, now is a Warren resident. I understand if that's the case, it's only my business to the extent that somebody in that position should be within the community. But I further understand that if he now is a Warren resident, which was in the mayor's announcement, welcome, Ms. Mayor, that I'll take that at face value and welcome him to the city. I'm disheartened that our building maintenance director, if I got the position wrong, forgive me, is not a Warren resident. I realize that we can't always get qualified people who live within the city, but it should be a factor of consideration. I hope when you take that up, you consider it. And then for all the positions. I know the third one is, but I'm not sure the first two are within the budget. If they are not, I hope that's a topic of discussion tonight, because there needs to be consistency. You rightfully called the last administration out when that administration engendered positions that weren't in the budget. And to be consistent now, despite the fact that you have a far more collegial relationship with the current mayor, should be the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Papazian.
Hello, council. Please excuse me, I'm coming off of a cold. I came here tonight just because I wanted to talk on item 14B, which is the grant application for Shaw Park, the cricket fields. I know there's a couple citizens who are a little disheartened that this was on the agenda tonight because they're not able to make it because of Ramadan, and I assured them that's not the reason why it was on the agenda tonight. But anytime money is to be spent in favor of our parks and improving our city, I'm in favor of that, and I know that you'll speak more on this tonight and make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Sutliff.
Okay, hello. I also wanted to speak about 14B and Shaw Park. I'm always interested in anything having to do with Shaw Park. And it's good to see there are some ADA compliant features going to be part of that, like parking spaces and grills, barbecue grills. But I'm glad to see, you know, more recreational activities being being accommodated in the city. But I do question, excuse me, the cricket field is said to cost $530,000, and that really took me aback. I think you can build a pretty good McMansion for $530,000, so I don't know what's so complicated about a cricket field, unless it includes bleachers and a concession stand. And the other thing, excuse me, the other thing about that is there's a paved parking repairs, I guess, that's budgeted. And I hope that Mr. Toccato speaks with Dave Mazzarelli, who has been looking into permeable pavement as a way to reduce burden on our stormwater system. So I hope that there is some conversation that takes place between those two.
Thank you.
Permeable.
Mr. Nash, are you here for the public hearing? Okay, I'm going to hold your, to the public hearing unless you have something to add from the agenda. Okay, I'll hold your comment for the public hearing. Next is Saeed Ahmed.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I'm here to speak basically support the construction of a cricket field in Warren City. And my name is Saeed Ahmed, and I've been living in Warren for about a few years now. And I have came here before for it too, and so I'm glad to see the application is on again. And just wanted to provide some information that Cricket World Cup 2024 will be hosted in USA. And New York and Dallas are hosting games for it. So maybe in future, if there's a field in Warren, maybe one day we'll get to see it here too. So I hope you all will support that, and thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Howard.
Michael Howard, 23725 Bierman Avenue, Warren, Michigan. You know, the consent agenda doesn't really get a lot of props, you know, when you come to agenda items, but I noticed one of those on there was my local park. And I just want to say the park looks beautiful. It was one of the things that I, for I think a year and a half, advocated for improvements on the park. from the parking lot to the play structure, which I was a little nervous when I heard there was going to be a diet of the size of the play structure, but it's beautiful. The size works out. The basketball court is great. And I've never seen more people at that local park than I have in the 8 years that I've been here. So any improvement, like others said, to our local parks, whether that's to the cricket field, I'm looking forward to Saeed teaching my kids how to play cricket. I have no clue how to do it, so someone else is going to have to. Any improvements to the park is much needed. It's not just about recreation, but it's about mental health. It's about family services and just a better quality of life. So thank you for the continued investment in parks.
Thank you. Next is Commissioner Nard.
Good evening, Council. I just want to speak about items A and B. I was happy to see another diverse person, that our mayor is really trying to do that at diversity and inclusion, so I was happy to see that, and I just want to send out congratulations to Olu for his appointment. And then item B, I am in favor of that cricket field, and I'm happy that you know, it's here, it's coming. But the only thing that I want to just keep in mind is that it be inclusive, that other children can use that. If we're going to spend that kind of money on just something, I'm hoping that it's not just going to be geared towards one group of people, you know. So I'm hoping that there's something in there that's going to allow other kids to be able to learn how to play cricket, because I've asked them, you know, some kids, if they knew how to play it, they don't. But however, my daughter works with Red Cross, and she's been riding up to Ann Arbor, and they do have a cricket field, and that particular sport brings a lot of money to that city. So I'm looking forward to the money, the income that it will bring to the city, because knowing that now that we're going with these electric cars, we're going to lose that gas tax. This is another way we can, you know, bring money into the city. So I'm happy to hear about that. So I am in favor of that cricket field as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the Communications Department for this lovely clock and the monitor. It makes managing audience a bit easier. So thank you to the Communications Department and for everyone who test drove it today. Next item.
Next item is announcements. 10B, Sunshine Week Resolution, motion to approve with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last year for Sunshine Week, the City Council passed a good government resolution. And of course, as many of you know, that was published, but it's not been put on Municode yet, so we're hoping that happens. I'll just read this resolution. Whereas Sunshine Week is a national initiative spearheaded by the American Society of News Editors to educate the public about the importance of open government and the dangers of excessive and unnecessary secrecy. The first nationwide Sunshine Week took place March 13th through the 19th, 2005, and whereas Sunshine Week was established to spark a discussion about the importance of open government and public access to government documents and meetings, Sunshine Week was also a way to draw attention to the media's role in advocating for government transparency. And whereas, without the diligent work of a free press, many citizens would not have access to accurate information that directly impacts their daily lives. And whereas an open and accessible government is vital to establishing and maintaining the people's trust and confidence in their government and in the government's ability to effectively serve its citizens, and free press is an essential part of that mission. And whereas during Sunshine Week in 2023, the Warren City Council adopted the Open Government Ordinance. This ordinance requires the city clerk to publish all meeting agendas, backup minutes, resolutions, and audio-video recordings of city boards and commissions on the city website so the public can access these documents at no cost with little hassle. And therefore be it resolved by the City Council that the members of this legislative body declare March 10th through the 16th, 2024 as Sunshine Week in the City of Warren. The City Council realizes every resident has a right to access to government meetings and public records and is committed to openness and transparency in all aspects of its operations and seeks to set a standard in this regard. Be it further resolved that the City Council requests that the Open Government Ordinance that was adopted in March 2023 and published in the newspaper in October 2023 be fully implemented by the Clerk's Office and the City Administration, and that a full copy of the ordinance be published in Municode, the city's contracted code publication company. In the last couple of weeks, I have been requested documents and resolutions, and of course, it has always been the policy of the council office to give any document that's asked for without having to FOIA it. If we have it immediately available, we give that information out as long as it's not protected in some form or manner. We are having a City Pride celebration in June, and I sure hope that the ordinance dealing with anti-discrimination is on Municode by that time, because it contains provisions of no discrimination against the LGBTQ community, and it sure would be nice that we at least have that published by June. All official resolutions, while I can give a resolution from the City Council office, it only has my signature. And it's only official when it has the clerk's signature. And once the clerk signs that, that should be on the city website, so anybody that needs access to a resolution passed by this council should have it readily available. Not just the public, not just the press, but also internally for other departments in the city that need it for lawsuits or contract negotiations or whatever they need them for. That information should be there. And we have boards and commissions that aren't correct. They are not properly on the website. Dates are wrong. This council, there are people that have been appointed that's never come to this council, and so the information's not reliable on the website. That needs to get right, because you have to be able to depend on the information that we're putting out to the public. And I'm hoping that in honor of Sunshine Week, we all work together to make those things happen. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Madam President.
Councilmember Lafferty.
Thank you. A couple of weeks ago, I enjoyed a special event at the Ukrainian Cultural Center. It was the Sweetheart Dance, and for many years I've enjoyed the father-daughter or the daddy-daughter dance, and with not one but both of my daughters. And it was, I've always heard the comments, well, what about moms and sons? What about, uncles and aunts or adoptive families? Where's our dance? And this dance was beautiful. It was a dance for all ages. There were several senior citizen couples there. There were plenty of other couples there of all ages, and moms and sons and dads and daughters. It was a beautiful event. Patrick Studios, thank you again to Mr. Patrick. He always does a fine job in taking photos of all of the families and capturing their joy of the moment. And the Ukrainian Cultural Center, of course, put on a beautiful event. And Greg Traskoma was spinning records. I'm dating myself, but he was playing those digital tunes to the kids' delight. But I have to give credit where credit is due. Our Parks and Recreation Department put on this event. They did an outstanding job. And I want to recognize Mr. Turcato, who's in the audience, for that event. You and your staff, I know Denise and others were there. They put their heart and soul into that, and it showed. And very enjoyable. During the dancing, I was dancing with my daughter, Autumn, and I had a moment of introspection. And I'm looking at her, I'm looking into her beautiful eyes and just looking at her and thinking about my life. And it was at that moment during the hokey pokey that I really turned myself around. So thank you again to the Parks and Rec Department. I do have some additional news.
Mr. Lafferty, really quick, we need a motion in support for the Sunshine Week resolution.
I made the motion.
So I'm sorry, we need to vote on it.
Of course.
All in favor of the Sunshine Week resolution?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Back to you.
Sorry.
Really turned that one around.
I do have some good news. The Warren Historical District Commission did approve last night the construction permit for Warren's skate park. And so we are going to be embarking, yes, absolutely. We are going to be embarking on a tremendous opportunity for our our skateboarding community and rollers and BMX pump track. The design is outstanding, integrated into the park, into a beautiful scenic area with walking paths. And as I understand it, all of the trees that are in that park, in this area, are integrated into the design. Not one tree will be removed. And so I'm very, very happy to hear that. I'm sure others will be happy to hear that as well. So we're preserving the nature of the park, and we're building in a beautiful aesthetic amenity for people of all ages to enjoy. So that's more to come. I'm sure Mr. Turcato will fill us in at a later date. I do have one more item. The Spring Carnival will be held at the Warren Community Center this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And you'll get an opportunity to have photos with the Easter Bunny, inflatables, planting with the Warren Garden Club, face painting, a petting farm, an egg hunt, and bike helmets. So admission is free, and everyone is welcome to attend. Thank you.
Madam President, I'm so glad that Jonathan got the carnival. I was going to bring it up if he hadn't. But also, tomorrow is the free Warren Senior Health Care Seminar in the City of Warren City Hall. And so 11:30 a.m. Enjoy.
Madam Chair? Thank you. I hope I took notes really, really quickly because I was on the phone with the Joe Shear from the Warren Fire Department. Everybody is aware of the tragic fire and explosion that happened last week in Clinton Township. There was a call for county hazmat, at which time Joe Shear left his home, came to Warren, and got ready and went to the scene. Also, Truck 4 went to the scene and stood, they had to stay about half a mile away because of the danger at the site. And Joe Shear set up camp and ran the Warren Fire Department's drone for about 2.5 hours, following the plume and making estimates of how fast things were moving. And his help was essential in making the decision, because the drone was over the neighborhoods, of how to make the decision whether they had to evacuate or whether people could shelter in place. And I think we should all be very, very proud that we have that equipment. We have the people that can operate it and that they were there to help. They were invaluable in lending aid, as many departments all over the county showed up to help. And I don't know if everybody's aware, but the county dispatch went down. It was overloaded. Sterling Heights went down. Warren was dispatching for other areas, and everybody came together. And it just it's heartwarming to see when something like that happens. Everybody just goes to where they need to go and lend aid and make sure the help is there for the people that need it. Tragically, a life was lost there. And of course, the damage is, very, very extensive. But I'm very proud, and I hope you're all proud of our fire department. They were able to do some really, really good work, and I commend them for that.
You're here.
Any other announcements?
Madam President?
Councilmember Dwyer.
Yes, I just wanted to speak briefly about the abrupt departure last Tuesday of our police commissioner. I was just personally disappointed and saddened to see it handled in the manner in which it was handled. I think he was treated unfairly and unjustly. The event took place last Tuesday shortly after 2 o'clock, where 3 people from the mayor's office went up to the commissioner's office, basically handed him a letter stating, your services are no longer needed, you are to leave immediately. I know that the commissioner was blindsided by that. He had announced his retirement for April 19th, and he then did ask the 3 up there from the mayor's office if he could stay at least until Friday. He did want to have a chance to make the roll calls of his officers and say his goodbye, and unfortunately was never given that chance. When he did make that request to the three that were in his office to stay till Friday, he was told no. I mean, they did provide him with a ride home, which I guess was really nice, but I think it was just not the way to send him off. He's been in public safety law enforcement for over 60 years, starting in Detroit, moving on as police chief in Farmington Hills, 2 stints here in Warren as police commissioner, 4-time county commissioner in Oakland, 2-time term MACP, Michigan Association Chiefs of Police, president, and he, as many of you know, is probably one of the most well-respected and well-known law enforcement officials here in Southeast Michigan, if not the state. So I would just, in concluding, I would like to thank and commend our commissioner, my dad, for a job well done over those many, many years of public service. Thank you.
Any additional announcements?
Yeah, point of order. You didn't call me for the audience agenda participation. I put in a form.
Mr. Bell, have a seat. Your agenda is at the end. You did not list an agenda item on the form, and so you're at the end of audience.
Everybody witnessed it. I mean,
You have, Mr. Bell, Ms. Camp can explain to you why.
I was asking you, but
We are running a meeting. Thank you. Ms. McGee?
Yes, we have one other announcement. The 2024 NFL Draft is going to be one of the biggest events that take place in the city of Detroit, and I'm very proud that we're going to participate in it. Our mayor is here, and I'm sure she's probably going to talk about it, but I wanted to bring it up because I will hope in the future, whether it be 10 years or 15 years from now, that the city of Warren will be the city of choice for all these large events that take place in the city. And so us being the neighbor to the city of Detroit, I'm glad that at least we're going to participate with the NFL Draft that will take place. The fun and experience will take place on March the 23rd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And they will have all type of activities for families. I look forward to seeing everybody there.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay, next item.
Next item is 11A, which is a public hearing, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving the demolition of a house and garage at 11208 Stevens through the nuisance abatement program.
Motion, anyone? Sorry, I'm opening the public hearing. I will open the public hearing. Is the petitioner here? Anyone here to speak? Mr. Nash?
How you doing today? I live right next door. The boarding that they put up on the house, last year they come through, cleaned out the house, got rid of all the drywall, everything, and then they didn't put everything back up correctly. There's wild animals climbing inside out of the house. Some of the boards are off, and I can't even open up my windows because of the smell of burnt coming. You know, it's just ridiculous, and it's every time someone stops by, like, oh, what happened next door? And it's been almost a year now, and the house has been sitting there with nothing done to it since they cleaned it out.
Thank you.
Yep, you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak on the public hearing? Okay, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to council for action.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes?
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke? Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 11B, which is a public hearing, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving special assessment roll number 529 relating to the demolition of a house located at 2821 Helly.
I will open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Okay, hearing none, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to council for action.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Lafferty, support by Boyke. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 11C, which is a public hearing, request to vacate easements, vacate the existing north-south 8-foot wide utility easement located on the rear of lots 1065, 1066, and north 17 feet of lot 1067, and vacate the existing east-west 5-foot wide utility easement, east 8.5 feet, of Piper's Van Dyke subdivision number 5, located on the northwest corner of Van Dyke Avenue and Topher Road, 21647 Van Dyke Avenue, Section 33, Valentino, Holata, PEV 230002.
I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Can you give your name and relation to this item?
Yes, my name is Valentino Holata. I'm I'm the one who's doing the project on the building.
Okay.
And the reason
petitioner.
I'm requesting the public utility easement vacation is to legalize the approachment of the existing building that was constructed in the early 40s. The building is currently illegal and not conforming, so we're just trying to get that easement of the old utilities kind of done so we can kind of start a project over there.
What kind of project is it?
It's an old laundromat. It's been sitting there, I don't know, from the 40s. So we got it. I'm trying to make it into a shopping center, bring a couple different things into the city. So that's what I'm working on now. But that's one of the biggest things to kind of finish is an easement to get it vacated so we can start this thing.
Thank you.
Of course.
Anyone else here to speak on this item? Okay, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to council for action.
Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan sees a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 12A, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving contract for healthcare savings plan, administrative and investment service. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan sees a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 13A, Council Secretary Mindy Bohr, discussion in-ray food truck ordinance. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion.
Madam Chair, thank you. I have been approached by residents, walking door to door in the summer, expressing desire to have more food trucks in Warren. And I've spoken to a few brokers of food trucks and owners of food trucks in the last couple of months. And my request would be that we have Mr. Schroeder research an ordinance to allow the permitting and licensing of food trucks in Warren. I know the county has some oversight because of the health and safety of food distribution, and so there's probably some coordination between their role and ours, but we're seeing, them pop up, and they probably should be licensed, and some communities even have, I think it's Clinton Township, somebody said like on Thursdays, they might have one of the trucks come in the neighborhood and areas, and I know, I can remember my kids were little and the food truck was coming on Wednesday, they'd be lined up. So I think it's an interesting thing for us to look at.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Madam President.
Councilmember Lafferty.
Thank you. Great idea, Ms. Moore. I'd like to also add on to that. There are little fleets. That's what they're called. I've seen one in Traverse City on my travels up there, and it's more of a, and I'm not sure if that's the intention of this ordinance, but perhaps, it can expand to it. the Little Fleet, I know Ferndale has one, Traverse City has one, I'm sure they're in additional places, where you have more of a semi-permanent structure in the center. It's a pavilion, there'll be a soft drinks and other beverages there, maybe a brewer, and then around that pavilion, that gathering area, are a number of food trucks. And so, of course, in Michigan, it's seasonal, but what a great, great area to, bring food trucks together in a particular area, more semi-permanent, in addition to having a taco truck at the end of the street. That's awesome.
And Madam Chair,
So,
one more comment.
Thinking about expanding upon that, we've got some great areas in the city that could certainly, be developed and support a fleet like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam
Madam Secretary?
Madam Chair, while Mr. Lafferty was speaking, we probably are going to need to look at also pop-ups down the line. Pop-up businesses for, we might want to look into that for some of the festivals we have, or events. That might be a nice thing for us to incorporate into some of our celebrations and things. So I don't know if, we want to look at that at the same time or talk about another time.
Madam Secretary, are you referring the pop-ups to Attorney Schroeder also? Okay, good.
Pop-ups? I'm sure they're called something else in an ordinance other than pop-ups.
You can call them pop-ups.
Okay.
So the motion is to have Mr. Schroeder review the feasibility of a food truck ordinance, the fleet concept, and pop-ups or temporary businesses.
Yes.
Okay, makers of the motion good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes?
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 14A, notice of mayoral appointments. Alu Jabari, Community Outreach Director, Ayesha Bahar, Administrative Coordinator, and Jeff Reeves, Building Maintenance Superintendent. So moved. What did I'm sorry. I forgot you, Jeff. Sorry. 13B, Council Attorney Jeff Schroeder, discussion in Ray Land Bank update. Sorry, I was looking at the mayor.
Need a motion and support.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Lafferty, and McGee is support. Mr. Schroeder?
Certainly, at the last council meeting, the council voted to explore a land bank authority for the city of Warren, the creation of a land bank authority. This opportunity was created because the county of Macomb turned down a county land bank. Had that land bank been approved by the County Board of Commissioners by the end of February, then this opportunity would not have been available to the city of Warren. And after the council voted to explore this process, I had a conversation with the state land bank director, who interestingly started his career working for a state representative in Warren many years ago, has strong connections to the city of Warren, really believes that this would be really good for the city of Warren. And I want to point out that this land bank would be different than, for example, what you see in the city of Detroit. We've seen the city of Detroit has had a land bank for years. There have been issues and troubles with that land bank. The city created its own land bank there under its charter and ordinances. What's being proposed here is an intergovernmental agreement between the city, approved by the city council, and the state land bank authority. So it would be an agreement between the state land bank and the city to create a land bank for the city of Warren. A land bank ultimately would have as members likely the city treasurer, likely a member of the city council, and 3 appointees of the chief executive officer, who's the mayor, and that would constitute the land bank. This is based upon the initial draft of a land bank intergovernmental agreement that is being proposed by the state land bank director. He also mentioned to me that he would advocate for state funding for the city. I mean, he's a governor's appointee. He could help advocate for state funding for the city for this land bank to help us get going and help us, get the inventory and manage it. This is actually a large project. This isn't a small ordinance or resolution. And I think that we're still in the exploratory phase, so I think everybody in the city would need to understand the implications of this and it's in what the duties would be. So he has offered to come meet and talk to the city. I'm going to get some dates and times from him, and we'll try to work something out where he can come make a presentation. I have the initial documents. Again, it's exploratory, but it's certainly an opportunity for the city to take advantage of. I know the county, you had the Republican treasurer and the Democratic executive in favor of it. You had the Warren commissioners in favor of it that represent Warren, and somehow it was defeated. I don't know the politics at the county. I just know it's now an opportunity for the city, and we're trying to explore that opportunity. So we're going to continue to communicate and then bring back probably a presentation from the State Land Bank Director. And if everybody still wants to move forward, then we'll work on the documents to get that going.
Madam President, might I? Yes.
Mr. Noonan.
So what are some of the major advantages and disadvantages of a land bank? Because I'm not particularly familiar with land banks. It sounds like it could be a really good idea if you have the ability to buy land that's, for instance, underutilized. Is that the point of it?
There's a lot of ways the land bank can obtain properties. We see tax foreclosed properties. We could have properties that are gifted. It could purchase property. And that's one of the things that the land bank director will explain when he is here. And also the sort of intergovernmental agreement will define under what circumstances you can obtain property. One example, you talk about advantages and disadvantages. We've seen over the years that somehow the city has obtained property, right? And I don't know if you called right now and asked for a list of all city-owned property. It might be available, but we've also known that people have, in some cases, they've bid on this property. In other cases, the city made a deal to sell it to them for $1.
Right.
I guess it depends who you are, if you're going to get that deal or not. And there's no consistency, okay? So this would bring all of the available city-owned properties under one umbrella, and you'd have a uniform process for bidding and obtaining properties, redeveloping properties. There's really a lot to it. In fact, I'm just starting to sink my teeth into it, so I can't tell you I'm an expert yet on this, but certainly the State Land Bank Director is very passionate about it and very knowledgeable and is very anxious to come explain all those benefits to you. But I know that certainly in a community, in our conversations with Warren that has a lot of aging infrastructure and homes, we want to bring investment back in the city. You want these properties, you want to have a plan for the properties instead of having everything be a one-off. You want a plan. And you also want to be able to get funding from all sources to help with these properties. So that's a 10,000-foot view, maybe even more.
Yeah.
But hopefully
Well,
that.
That's great. It would certainly be great to not have the excesses and abuses that I think we've seen happen in the past. And also the sense that there's more fairness for everyone in the city to be able to have the chance, if there's going to be a property sold for $1, if anybody should be able to buy it, why shouldn't everybody have a chance to buy it? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Noonan. Any other discussion? So I would just a motion to receive and file Mr. Schroeder's update. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Now, sorry. 14A, notice of mayoral appointments, Alu Jabari, Community Outreach Director, Ayesha Bahar, Administrative Coordinator, and Jeff Reeves, Building Maintenance Superintendent. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Mr. Noonan. I see the mayor is in the audience if she would like to come and talk a little bit about her appointees.
Thank you, Madam President. It is my honor this evening to join my esteemed colleagues on the City Council for the opportunity to introduce my newest mayoral appointees. I commend the council on their introduction of a Sunshine Week resolution. We have committed to shared values around accountability and transparency. And I also want to reiterate my commitment to collaboration in rectifying the failures of the previous administration. In conversations that have been shared in the community recently, I noticed a pattern of misunderstanding and misinformation around the roles of appointees. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to provide a teachable moment. Appointees are selected to serve in multiple functions. Appointees are liaisons between departments and the mayor's office. They're liaisons between departments and city council. Appointees also provide oversight of departments. And for my administration, I have high expectations that appointees will also serve as leaders of people. Appointees are an extension of an administration. They're tasked with implementing the policies and vision that the mayor was elected by the community to provide. And so as such, appointees are not city employees in the traditional sense. They're not union members. They don't earn pensions. Appointees accept positions as at-will employment at the discretion of an administration. Appointees are expected to deliver on the policies of the administration. And if and when appointees can no longer fulfill these jobs, they can either resign their position or they may be asked to resign, at which time the administration would seek a qualified candidate prepared to implement these policies. And as such, I have the opportunity to introduce three appointees this evening, the first being Olu Jabari. He has been hired to serve as a community outreach director in our community. He is a Warren resident. Olu has a degree in human services from the University of Detroit, over 12 years of experience with the state of Michigan and the Department of Health and Human Services. Olu has experience as a community organizer and as a business owner, with over 25 years of community outreach experience in collaborating and organizing in the community and statewide partnerships. He has experience in civic engagement and voter education, and his enthusiasm is infectious. Aisha Bahar has been appointed to administrative coordinator. Aisha Bahar is a Warren resident of over 10 years. She is a graduate of Warren Mott High School and attended Macomb Community College. Aisha has more than 6 years' experience in customer assistance. She's passionate about helping people. A mom of two, Aisha has chose to put down roots and raise her family in Warren. And after 2 months in working as a temp role, Aisha demonstrated dedication to assisting residents that contact the mayor's office with questions or concerns, earning an appointed position. Jeff Reeves has been appointed to building maintenance superintendent after more than 15 years of service to the city of Warren. He has held positions in Warren sanitation, water, and building maintenance departments. He is skilled in construction, electrical, plumbing, carpentry, and maintenance of water and sewer line apparatus. Jeff trained in masonry with Bricklayers Local 1, and his experience, knowledge, and leadership has earned him the respect of his department. I express my gratitude to Mr. Reeves for accepting a position with my administration. Thanks again for the opportunity to speak to the qualifications of these appointees, and thank you for the opportunity to work together on requesting congressionally directed funding for the benefit of Warren residents. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Madam Secretary.
Yeah, Mr. Knapp, do you have the information on the salaries and where we stand on the budget items? Or okay, yeah.
I did not get a chance. I didn't know till like 4:15.
Okay, so I'll get with him later in the week, and so I have a full breakdown of, because I know all the names of the titles have changed, and the line items have changed, and, you know, Mr. Fox and I disagree on line item, what it means in this context, but we'll just leave that as it is. But I'll get with him later and figure out where we are on the numbers and the positions, because I think I have 1, 2, 3, I think I have 5 people now that have been appointed in the mayor's office. Yeah.
I believe that was provided when the first round was introduced. We provided those descriptions and the reorganization of the department.
But I don't know what I'm asking Mr. Knapp where we are on the numbers and how they all break down, just a total. I know there was a spreadsheet of, but I just
I know
wanted
that
to-
was reviewed, so everything that's being done is within the budget.
Right, I just want to know what each of them are now in a fashion like how we do budgets.
Yes.
You know, we put the title, and then we put the amount. That's all I'm looking for, is something, what the title is and what the amount is, and
I'll
where-
talk with
where we
Rick to
are.
make sure we
Yeah,
get that.
it's simple. Yeah. I'll get with them later.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Okay. I will call the question. We'll vote on all three together unless anyone has any objections.
So really a receive and file.
Oh, okay.
We should change it to my motion to a motion to receive and file.
Support Lafferty.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations, yeah.
Next item.
Next item is 14B, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving application with Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund for Shaw Park playground upgrades and new cricket playing field, and committing to matching funds for the project of 67% in the amount of $657,000. Motion to approve with discussion.
Support Lafferty with discussion.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Yeah. Mr. Knapp, if I may, can you speak to this? Really, what I wanted to clarify is we're not committing to anything. We are giving our support of going out for the grant, but we're not giving our final approval for anything tonight.
That's correct. There hasn't been an award. Once there's an award, then we have to decide about the matching funds.
Okay, so that's really what I clear up, and that will apply to the next item as well, that we are showing our support for going forward with these grant applications.
Right, with those, there's no matching funds involved.
Right, right. And I will just bring up that this actual grant was done last year, and it was pulled for some unknown reason at the very last minute. So we lost out on that last year. We lost a year. But anyway, I'm glad to see that we've done it again. So that you've answered my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Lafferty?
Thank you. I did want to mention, Ms. Moore had alluded to it, that it was pulled from the agenda. I do want to make mention, it was pulled from the agenda during an election season, because this issue, once again, was made a political issue. And it had no business being a political issue in the first place. It has no business being a political issue now. I want to thank Mr. Turcato for bringing this back. This is money that we should have been awarded last year. We did miss out, I believe, on a second grant that was part of it. There were two grants at that particular meeting that were pulled by the administration. And again, it was done for political reasons, but the grant was in excess of $1 million for investment in Shaw Park. One of the parks, the most underutilized parks, and has so much potential to serve that area. And I'm very excited about this. I hope this grant is fulfilled. There's a lot of opportunity for investment. Unfortunately, we lost, some of that capital that would have come from the federal government, but this one, I'm very much looking forward to it. Whether or not it brings the specific transformations that are mentioned here in the resolution, I hope they do. I hope they bring those changes, because the more people we attract, just like the skate park, it was mentioned yesterday, you put a skate park in to an underused portion of the city, people are going to be driving for miles to use that facility, to enjoy these amenities. And what do after they enjoy those amenities? They visit the shops, the restaurants, they spend their money here in Warren, exactly where we want them to be. And that has a reciprocal effect on the neighborhoods. Suddenly things start looking better. You improve one section, and I remember hearing about it for years, even from the time, Ms. Moore, when you were on council previously, the questions about blight and the establishment of the blight court, and something that I think we should bring back. But because it was so effective. I believe that if beautification begets beautification. And it's opportunities like these that we should be, Ms. Mayor, since you're sitting in front of us, hire a dozen grant writers. Let's get every single grant that we have the opportunity to obtain. Let's do it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Ms. McGee and then Mr. Noonan. Mhm.
There we go.
Yes, I just was trying to understand the 67%, if someone can explain.
Mr. Knapp? Do you have a,
Well, the project cost, estimated cost was what, $957,000, I think?
Okay.
So 67, that's a requirement for the grant, the matching funds. They set the percentages that we have to meet.
Okay. And the breakdown of what's going to be included in the park is where?
Mr. Turcato?
Good evening, Council. Dino Turcato, Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
I'm not sure, was it in the back of the paperwork, was the breakdown of what we proposed to the state, or what we will propose to the state of when we do the application of the cricket park and the upgrade of parking lot and the play structure, and that's all included. So once we apply for the application, apply for the grant, hopefully at this point, the state is looking and excited about this project, and their max right now is, they switched it to a $300,000 max for this grant. So that's how we, Mr. Lafferty, last year was a little less. We were able to put less percentage last year. This year, the requirements went up a little more percentage, so we had to increase it a little more to get to the max is $300,000 for us. So, but this money is still in last year's budget, Council Secretary Moore. That was still there from last year from when we were going to propose it. So we transfer it over, it will be sitting.
Thank you. Ms. McKee?
Yes, I want to continue. I see some of the things that is going to be included, but I was hoping, because it's Shaw Park on the south side of Warren, hoping that we bring entertainment to the south side of Warren. I know we oftentimes have those entertainment type of events here at City Hall, and thinking maybe we can include a stage or something, so that we could have some type of event that take place where we have music and things of that nature at the Shaw Park. So is that something we're looking for in the future, looking to do in the future, or just right now we're just doing the basics of fixing up the park, parking lots and things of that nature?
Well, the ones for this park here is just the basics of the cricket court and the play structure and the restrooms, and those were the basics for that. But on a positive note, Mayor Stone asked us to bring movies to the parks, and one of the parks we're going to bring the movies to this year instead of at City Square is Shaw Park. We're going to bring it in one of the Friday nights. We're going to do several different parks, 3 to 4 different parks, and we're going to bring the movies to the parks. And we're going to have activities and everything for different parks this time. Butcher's one, Shaw's one, Veterans one, so we're going to switch them all around this year. So that's on the positive note.
Yes.
This project here was just for the cricket court that we feel there's 2 locations in the city for parks that have enough room for a large cricket court. It's pretty big, and 2 locations that we've always talked about is, one of them is Shaw Park, and it's wide open, no trees are going to be removed. It's a beautiful location. And you know that walking path in all the back area, it's all treed, it's beautiful. Just like the skate park, I believe, and we've all talked about it, that this is going to be a destination park when it's completed. It will be, you know, close to $1 million spent there. It'll be beautiful, and I think it'll be well used instead of underutilized like that. So I'm excited. I hope the state agrees to it, and we'll continue working on other parks. We'll be up here again. There's a couple bids that are going out for other parks that are going to be upgraded. So at the Helmich Park, we were working on the bathrooms there. That bid will, it's taking a little longer than I was anticipating, but here in the hopefully next few weeks, we're gonna be doing a final walkthrough. And here in April will be for the, restroom upgrades and that for Helmich Park bathrooms for the athletic area in the center there for concession stand. We're gonna do that, and, we'll have the water park coming along, here at Wiegand. So we're making progress. We're making baby steps, but, yeah, I'm excited. The skate park was very large last night. There was a three-year process, and, thanks council. It was the old council and this council and Mr. Lafferty, and, we got that through too. So I'm hoping the state, approves this, and it'll be a wonderful project. But we'll keep that in mind. Maybe when it's how much time, we put something there for that. So, we'll have to see.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Trocado, perhaps you can schedule some time with Ms. McGee to go over the master plan of the parks. I know that exists, and perhaps she can provide some input and/or her perspective.
I would like that.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Just one second. Maybe we could provide a copy. Do we have extra copies of the master plan?
I have
in the white, you have that copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say it's online also.
Thank you. Mr. Noonan?
Right. So, some citizens are wishing that the cricket field were at Helmich Park. And I would just like to say that the wording in the agenda today was that this is just the first, it says it's the first cricket field. It doesn't say it's the last. And if this is a tremendous win for the city, if it's well-used and very popular, maybe we'll need another one. And so I hope everyone will work to make this a successful park. I also very much like a cricket field. I also very much like Vice President McGee's notion of making Warren have more of a popular entertainment venue like Sterling Heights has had, to bring in possibly pretty good-sized bands and make Warren more of a destination. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam
And,
President.
Mr. Lafferty?
Thank you. To Ms. McGee's point, it sparked a memory from when I was young. I think Owen Jacks was still Parks and Rec director, and we used to have a semi-trailer that opened up, almost one entire side used to open up, and it created a stage. And and another part folded out. It had a built-in speaker system, amplifiers, microphones, and I believe there was probably a generator of some sort that powered it. But it was designed for mobile entertainment, similar to what you're referring to. Instead of limiting it to one park, we could have look back into that concept. I don't know what happened to it. Probably fell apart after so much use. But I remember that very well. Mayor Bonkowski would introduce the symphony or the concert band or various bands would be out there. The kids would play in the park while the parents listened to the music. It was very popular back then, so maybe that's an opportunity to share musical events throughout the city and looking to restore that particular item. So great idea, Ms. McGee.
Oh, yeah. That sounds wonderful.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore? Yes. Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes?
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 14B1, which is a resolution of authorization of congressionally directed spending requests for 4 Warren public capital projects. The city is sending funding requests to Senator Gary Peters for 4 proposed projects needed for the Warren community. 1, Helmich Park refurbishment and reconstruction, ADA compliance modification for city buildings, 3, water resource recovery facility, solids management and energy recovery improvements, and 4, Mound Road reconstruction, 8 Mile Road to I-696. The proposed project funding submittals and applications are supported by Warren's master plan, the current and approved 5-year recreation master plan, and long-term budgetary plans, et cetera. New universally accessible restrooms, park shelters, and playscapes are needed to upgrade and maximize how much parks accessibility, since these facilities have outlived their useful lives after being installed in the 1990s. The total cost is $5,993,727. The CDS share is requested to be $4,495,300. The ADA compliance modifications for city buildings, the total cost is $3,375,000. The water resource recovery is a total of $100 million. The CDS share is requested to be $6 million. And the Mound Road reconstruction, the total cost is $32 million, and the CDS share is requested to be $6 million. Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes?
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes, of course.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 14C, request of the Police Department for an additional appropriation of funds in the amount of $273,000 from the Police Local Drug Forfeiture to cover the costs of purchasing additional police vehicles, consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
14D, request of the Sanitation Division and Engineering Division for an additional appropriation of funds in the amount of $65,000 to cover the increased cost to purchase 2 Heil Durapack Python automated side loader vehicles and to cover the consulting and engineering services to provide a condition assessment of the City of Warren's transfer station building and site. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. Motion to approve with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Yes, I'm curious why we're doing a condition assessment of the transfer station and site. That has gone out to bid, and I think we've received the bids on who's going to take over that transfer station. And I'm wondering why we're doing this now. I mean,
Anyone?
this was done in the, I thought this was. Right, this was done last year. I know there was a condition assessment of the transfer station, and because there was, tried to be litigation about it, and it was a, so I really don't know.
Is there any?
And I don't know why this is thrown in with the automated side loader vehicles, and then throwing in this transfer station.
Would there be 2 items?
Yeah, Madam Secretary, I would suggest that we bifurcate this item into 2, and perhaps we table the other.
Let me see what the numbers are.
Is there anyone from the administration that can speak on this? Mr. Knapp, no?
There's nobody here from these departments? Sanitation? Engineering? Let me see if we can do this. Yeah, they're not, I don't see a breakdown. Oh, I do. I see the vehicles at 40,000 and contractual services for 25. So we could change this to 40,000 until we get the answers. We could approve the side loader and reduce that by 25,000 until we get an answer on that.
So
I would suggest that we approve $40,000 for the vehicles and table the $25,000 for the assessment of the transfer station.
So, Point of order, Madam President.
Yes.
The resolution does not even mention the review.
Contractual services, I think.
I'm looking at the cooperative purchasing agreement for supplies, goods, or services, but it's not specific.
Actual services would be for the firm and vehicles of 40,000.
Maybe we should, maybe, do you want to
But
table it?
it's not in
Transfer two. They're transferring from the fund balance. 25,000 would be for the engineering firm and 40,000 would be for the vehicle.
Okay.
Right?
We can just table the item for 2 weeks.
Let's table this. This is a mess.
Okay. Motion to table.
Support.
There's a motion to table. Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty,
Yes to table.
Mr. Dwyer,
Yes to table.
Mr. Boyke,
Yes to table.
Mr. Noonan,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Rogan sees a yes. Item is tabled to ideally next meeting.
Yeah.
Next item.
Next item is 14E, request of the Sanitation Division to award the purchase of 2 Heil Durapack Python automated side loader sanitation vehicles utilizing the Sourcewell cooperative contract in the amount of $722,000 for both vehicles, consideration and adoption of a resolution. Motion to approve with discussion.
This would be tabled contingent on the funding.
That's what I was going to talk about.
Support Lafferty.
Ms. Moore has a motion on the table. Mr. Lafferty, support?
I would, yes. I am thinking that the extra $65,000 was to make up the amount they didn't have in the account, so I think that we should probably table this too, because they won't have the money. So motion to table.
Support Lafferty.
Okay. Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty,
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer,
Yes.
Mr. Boyke,
Yes to table.
Mr. Noonan,
Uh-huh.
Ms. McGee.
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Item is tabled.
Next item is 14F, which was 4C, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving a request from Mark Anthony Contracting, Inc. for a temporary concrete batching facility at the northeast corner of Tank Avenue and Lorna Avenue. So moved.
Support Lafferty with discussion.
Discussion, Councilmember Lafferty.
Thank you. We already approved the permitting for a temporary batching plant. It's still in existence at this corner. I don't know if there's anybody from the administration here that can speak to this. It's the way the resolution is written, it's almost as if it's asking to establish it. But there's already one on the property. So I was curious if, and I don't remember if it was Mark Anthony Construction that we already permitted before, and if we are renewing a permit, or if this is an extension of that initial agreement. So,
Anyone from the administration can speak on this? No? Okay.
it doesn't seem to have a timetable. I don't know.
Mr. Lafferty?
I will move to table this to the next meeting.
Could this be an additional one?
Okay,
It wouldn't make sense.
Mr. Lafferty, is a motion to table. Is there support?
Support.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes to table.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes to table.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes to table.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan sees a yes. Item is tabled. Next item.
Next item is 14G, which was item 4J on the consent. Proposed resolution providing public notice of intent to sell property at 13723 Collier, Warren, Michigan, parcel number 1336-301-035 for $102,000, and approving the sale following 30-day notice period, accepting grant of easement. Consideration and adoption of a resolution.
Motion to approve with discussion.
Support.
Discussion, Councilmember Lafferty.
Thank you. Through the chair to Attorney Michaels.
Councilman.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
I was looking at the purchase agreement, and your letter stated that there was a short-term rental restriction, but the letter didn't state, it looks like you had probably put in a blank space for it and then didn't go back to fill it in as to how short it was. The purchase agreement states that it will be a 6-month restriction, no short-term rentals shorter than a period of 6 months. Now, at the January 23rd meeting for the Rule Avenue item that we took up and considered, we agreed that that petitioner had to abide by a rental period of not to be shorter than 12 months. So I would like to be consistent going forward that we have at least a 12-month statute rather than 6 months, or one for this one for another. If we're going to adopt something, our standard should be, we should set a standard. So I'm asking to change and amend this agreement, page 2 of the purchase agreement, under conveyance, which would be paragraph 2, subsection 4, to read as follows: the property will not be rented, leased, or sublet for a term shorter than 12 months.
Sounds like good policy, of course, but I have a commitment for 6 months from the buyer. We could add 12 months, but I'm not sure if he could agree to it.
I understand that.
I understand.
And so, like many settlements that come to council, when we are hearing from an attorney in a court case, we give direction, here's what you can negotiate. So on behalf of the body, I am proposing that we amend this, and I'm asking you to go back, I'm asking council to approve for you to go back to the purchaser and say, this is council's authority to amend the agreement, no less than 12 months, take it or leave it.
Okay, that's fine. If I may address that?
Yes, of course, ma'am.
Absolutely. We'll go back and let them know that that's the standard. But the buyer did agree. We've added restrictions to the sale that were not a part of the original packet, such as not growing marijuana and keeping it maintained. And the short-term rental was also something that we required. But we'll definitely ask for, we'll let him know that 12 months is the standard. If there's an issue, we'll come back.
Very good. I'll just ask for my colleagues to support that amendment.
So the motion is to approve with the condition that Ms. Michaels or the city legal department goes back to the buyer and puts in a 12-month restriction for rentals. Any discussion on that? And makers of the motion are good. All right, we are on 14G. So hearing none, hearing more discussion, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Thank you, Ms. Michaels.
Next item is audience participation regarding general topics.
Thank you. First audience member is Mr. Watts.
Good evening, Gary Watts. So I'm a little disappointed that we chose to sell a piece of property to a person that owns multiple rental homes in this city. That's not accomplishing anything, people. That's bad. So I'm here, I wanted to talk about our police situation tonight. I too, like Mr. Dwyer said, am very disappointed. I had the good fortune to work with Mr. Dwyer a few times over the years, and especially the last 4 years. He did a great job. 60-year career that I don't think anybody could come up against, and to treat him like that is unacceptable in my opinion. The comment was made that it was a difference in hiring policy. and that there was gonna be a hiring freeze. Now it's my understanding, after everybody printed it was a hiring freeze, now it's being backed off. So, I don't know what's going on here, but I can tell you this, today, we're 21 police officers short, folks. Our runs are at an all-time high. I watch these runs year in and year out my whole life here. We're at an all-time high. Our police officers do one heck of a job out there. 21 short. If anybody knows anything about police hiring, first of all, it's tough these days. Number two, it takes 6 months to a year if you hire a pre-certified officer. If you hire somebody that's got to go to the academy, it takes probably a year and a half. We probably have about 10 officers, the last seniority list I looked at, 10 officers that can retire between now and September, October. If those 10 choose to retire, we're going to be down 31 officers. And if anybody finds a better job that's at the department, they may leave. This is a serious situation to take the hiring out of the police department and put it back to the very HR department that created the problem to begin with. The acting director is totally incompetent. She created the problem with the cadets. She created the problem with the police department. And now they put it right back in the same spot. This is unacceptable. I call on you guys to get something done about this. We need police officers on the street today, not a year and a half from now. It's going to be a rough summer if we don't have those officers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Bell.
All right, Jerry Bell, Warren resident. Now, I know you, Council President Rogan C., you are allowed to answer questions. Other council members can't, but you can. You want to help us understand why you didn't let me speak during the audience participation for the agenda? I clearly filled out a form. It was witnessed.
Sure.
But why?
Miss-
And I'll give you some of my time.
You can't speak over me if I'm going to explain it, so you have to give me a moment. The agenda, our rules were changed, that you have to speak to an agenda item and list the agenda item on your form.
There was others that didn't list it?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Look at
Okay,
each one.
so 2 weeks ago, you told me to come to the podium and speak on what agenda item that I'm going to be speaking about, correct?
I don't recall.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
It's on video. And I'm just going to say this, Ms. Rogan, so you've been trying to silence me right along with Councilwoman Mindy Moore. You've been trying to silence me even from the last, before you guys ran and got reelected. You've been trying to silence me. It's been an attempt for the longest. You had me removed out of here. You knew you were wrong. You knew you were wrong. I've gotten so many calls, even from council members, because you did what you did. But here's how I approach situations like that. Now, looking at all these lawsuits that's out here, you know, I'm not the one that filed a lawsuit, although I could. I have a lawyer. I have 2 lawyers. I could file a lawsuit. So I hope to try to get this resolved in a way to whereas we don't have to take this legally, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, where was Mr. Schroeder 2 weeks ago when you did this? What is he up there for? He should have told you that you were wrong, and you know you were wrong. You're not going to speak on that. I'm sure you're not. But what you did was totally wrong. You threatened Mr. Vanderlinden by having him removed. This isn't the way it goes. And nobody's stupid. Everybody knows their rights. You have a problem, Ms. Rogan C., and you don't need to be chairing any meetings. But we're going to discuss this, hopefully privately, with our lawyers or whatever. We're going to discuss this. So therefore, we won't take it to the residents, and they be affected by the things that you're doing, or you and Mr. Schroeder and Mindy or whatever. Look, bottom line is, we'll deal with this, okay? We're going to deal with this with lawyers. I make that clear. I don't want you to think it's a threat, because you always claim that somebody's making threats against you. But we'll deal with this with our lawyers, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Oshkosh.
Good evening, Council. Curtis Oshkosh, a resident pastor here in the city. I'm concerned about a number of things. There's a particular resident, Miss Harris. I'm sure she gets direction from somebody up there. She's been harassing us for more than a year, cyberbullying us, stalking us, trespassing on our property, taking pictures. Today she accused me of taking church money and gambling at the casino. She has video to prove it, which is a straight up lie. I don't go to the casinos. She's weaponizing our city government against our church. She called the city maintenance department and said we had a vehicle parked at our place that didn't have a plate. It has a plate, it just has a nonprofit plate, which looks a lot different than a normal plate. It's a 5-year plate, it's a valid plate. She says that it wasn't a plated vehicle. It was. The city towed our vehicle because she kept harassing them. She's weaponized city government against our church. She's constantly posting stuff over and over again. We've been in this city 32 years doing good work. I've never had this kind of problem except now. Then the little man over there, Mr. Noonan, came to the Senior Housing Commission meeting the other day, and he had to berate me, shame me, embarrass me, bully me, and make all kinds of disparaging comments about me at the Senior Housing Commission meeting. What a little man. He's not even half the man that I am. And shame on you. I mean, what are you doing for the community, Mr. Noonan? I'm giving food to over 6,000 of our residents every single month. And for you to take a lowbrow hit at me under the belt, shame on you. And you can't even look at me because you're a coward. You're nothing short of a straight-up little man coward.
No problem.
And we want sunshine. Mr. Schroeder, are you under contract, not under contract? We have a city attorney. The nemesis of the former mayor, the former city attorney, they're gone. Why are we still paying you? We've paid you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're still collecting. Today, we're going to give you the land bank ordinance to look at. Why don't we give that to our city attorney staff to have them look at it? We just write you another blank check over and over again, give him another assignment, give him some more work to do. Shame on all of you. Who's got a pair up there that's actually going to do what's right in this city? Were you acting on behalf of yourself, or were you acting as an elected official, Mr. Noonan, when you chose to take your little man baby tactics? And who's the little puppet behind the string?
Thank you, Mr. Oshkosh. Commissioner Nard.
I want to talk about timing, and just because of what happened today, it's really good that I bring this up. In the tapestry of life, timing plays an intricate role, weaving together the threads of destiny and shaping our experiences. It is an elusive force, simultaneously fleeting and eternal, that governs ebb and flow of events, dictating when opportunities arise and when challenges must be faced. Like a master conductor, timing orchestrates the symphony of our lives, guiding us along a path paved with both triumphs and setbacks. It whispers in our ears, urging us to seize the right moment or patiently await a more opportune time. In the realm of human endeavor, timing is paramount. It determines when a seedling should be planted, a battle fought, or love declared. Those who possess an acute sense of timing, an almost intuitive understanding of when to act and when to hold back, often find themselves riding the crest of success. They are masters of the art of seizing opportunities at the opportune moment, turning fleeting chances into lasting triumphs. Yet, timing is not merely a matter of luck or good fortune. It requires a keen eye of patterns, an ability to discern the subtle cues hidden within the tapestry of events. It demands patience, resilience, and the wisdom to know when to press forward and when to exercise restraint. Yet timing is merely a matter of luck. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, it requires patterns and ability to discern subtle hidden cues, patterns. Okay. In the grand scheme of things, timing transcends our own mortal existence. It governs the rise and fall of civilizations, the evolution of species, and unfolding of cosmos itself. It is a cosmic force that shapes the destiny of all things, reminding us that we are part of a larger tapestry woven together by the threads of time. However, timing is not an unyielding master. While it may set the stage, it is ultimately up to us to dance within its rhythm. When timing favors us, let us not squander its gifts. Let us act with boldness and determination, knowing that the time is right for our dreams to take flight. Yet when circumstances seem to conspire against us, let us not despair. Let us use this time to cultivate patience, refine our skills, and prepare ourselves for the day when the stars align once more. As the great philosopher and poet Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, timing is everything. Let us embrace this truth and strive to live our lives in harmony with rhymes of the universe. Let us seize opportunities when they arise, and let us wait with patience for the right time to act. For in the dance of timing, we find both joy of fulfillment and the profound beauty of the unknown. God bless you.
Thank you. Mr. Papazian.
Ooh, I guess I'd like to start with, I'm not being paid to be here or anything. One thing I would like to say is I would like to thank a few of you up here. I see Mr. Noonan, Ms. McGee, and Ms. Rogansey, Mr. Lafferty. I see so many of you out. We do a coffee event once a month. Ms. McGee was wonderful enough to show up at the last one. For the first time in all the years I've lived in Warren, this is the most active with the community council that I've ever seen. And I would like to thank you for all of the hard work you do. I know it's not easy being up there, doing what you think is right and getting yelled at by everyone. But another thing I wanted to bring up is some of you may know I have a hobby, pinball. And there is a place in Farmington Hills, unfortunately, that was just booted out of their city, Marvelous Marvin's Mechanical Museum. They do not have a home. This place is a landmark. It's a Michigan landmark, and I think it would be a real mistake if Warren didn't at least try to reach out and bring a cool business like them here. Now is a really great opportunity. There's so many of these wonderful businesses that are losing their homes, and if we're going to talk about building a downtown, one of the best ways to do it is to bring the businesses here first and then build around them. And I think this really gives us an opportunity at least to have a conversation and show that our city is willing to work with cool businesses to try and make our city cool. Other than that, skate park got approved this week. I obviously couldn't be happier. I'd like to thank Mr. Turcato for all the hard work he's put on it. I know I've been really hard on him over the past couple of years, but I've seen the park. It's pretty outstanding. Of course, I'd like to make a couple tweaks, but if not for his hard work and Mr. Lafferty's hard work, this would have never happened. And I would like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for making this come to pass. Largest skate park in Michigan, and it is going to be absolutely stunning. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sanker?
Good evening, Council. You know, a lot of people are being disfranchised because they don't have a computer, and therefore they don't have access to what is on the council agenda. It seems reasonable to me that the agenda should be posted on Channel 5 prior to the meetings so residents may see what is being discussed. I know the agenda usually comes out on Friday prior to the meeting, so it could be posted Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday on Channel 5, the People's Channel. Many things on Channel 5 are redundant. We see it over and over and over again. I'm sure there's ample room to post the council agenda that is made up of the people's business to be shown. Isn't that why we have Channel 5? For that purpose? Information? Citizens then, when watching the meeting, could keep a check on items that they are interested in to find the outcome and to determine if they would like to be part of the audience. This is not just for a certain district, but for all of you, because all of you serve the needs of all the people. The agenda is for everyone in the whole city, not just those with computer access. How about it? How long will it take you to put the council agenda on Channel 5 prior to the meetings. Actually, having council agenda shown on Channel 5 may increase the popularity of that channel. We shouldn't have to beg to get this done. Having the agenda posted on Channel 5 is a way of servicing the people to the full. Let's see how fast it can get done. This is part of our civil rights. Don't let the requests get shuffled in the basket. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Vanderlinden.
Clock's already running before I even said a word.
You're at the podium, Mr. Vanderlinden.
Okay, well, let's start with Ms. Rogansey. Ms. Rogansey, you stepped on Mr. Bell's First and 14th Amendment rights. I feel you owe Mr. Bell an apology. Your actions at the last council meeting showed, not just me, not just Mr. Bell, not just everyone here, everyone that's watching, you've lost control with this council, with the audience. You have different rules for different people, and how you and why you should step down as president. We had a group here that was screaming about a ceasefire. We didn't fill out a form, didn't have citizenship, didn't have to tell their name. You allowed them to walk up independently, one at a time, and speak for over 5 minutes. Some were even up to 7. One lady spoke twice. Did you get in their face? Did you yell and scream at them? Did you berate them like you did Mr. Bell, who was sitting in his chair? You owe him an apology. You owe me an apology, and I'll wait for it. I thought so. You're a coward, just like the mayor is. She's a coward. She didn't even have the decency to go to Mr. Dwyer herself and fire him. She sent 3 other administrators because she hid in her office, sitting on her hands, doing absolutely nothing. She's a coward. She doesn't return phone calls. She's always in the meeting by herself. Is her solitaire that important as she has to play the game on our money and not get nothing accomplished? Ms. Sinker talked about the council meetings and stuff. There's no reason we can't make these meetings more ADA certified. Why we can't have Zoom meetings. We can all come here, or those that with our ADA dependency can simply watch on Zoom, and then when you press the magic button, they can talk and have their 3 minutes. Now, I sent you a thing after the last council meeting informing you that you broke the First and 14th Amendment, and that there was prior case law stating that you do not have to fill out a form, you do not
Time is
have
up,
to
Mr.
put out your
Vanderlinden.
address.
Your time is up. Thank you.
My time was up before I even started.
Have a good night. Thank you.
I want that apology.
Have a good night, Mr. Vanderlinden. Thank
I
you.
want that apology, please.
Please have a seat. That is the end of audience. Next item.
Next item is council rebuttal. Madam Chair?
Yes.
I would just like to piggyback a little bit on what Mr. Watts said. The Warren Police Neighborhood Watch on December 8th, or March 8th, issued the total police calls for last year and this year at the same time. Last year, there were 10,484. This year, we're at 12,743 for the same time. And the calls last week in 2023 were 1,361, and this year, they're 2,095. It's a lot of calls, and they're increasing. And I don't think that we can take the chance of not hiring and filling those open police officer positions that we have. Thank you.
In reference to what Mr. Watts says, I totally agree with him. 21 officers is too short for the city, for the police department to protect the city. As a former police officer, I know what it feels like when you're in a car and you know the other cars are tied up only because you don't have enough personnel out there. It's not a good feeling. Yet we did the job, and the Warren Police Department does the job. I cannot sit up here, like Mr. Watts said, and do nothing. We have to do something. If the HR is going to do the hiring, we should have a plan, how fast we're going to get these officers, good applicants, and I promise you I'm going to inquire and report back to the residents as to the progress of hiring these police officers. Thank you, Mr. Watts.
Madam President, through the chair, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Dwyer.
I concur with Councilman Bozick. We are currently down 21 officers.
Councilman Boyke.
Boyke, you called him Bozak.
Oh, Boyke. Sorry, strike that. Boyke. Sorry about that. Anyways, going back to what I was saying, we currently are down 21 officers. By the end of the year, we're looking to be down by over 30 officers. And what happens is not filling those positions not only leaves officers out there shorthanded and response time slowing down, but it generates overtime because now you're getting officers, some working overtime and they're all for it, but if the officers aren't wanting the overtime, they're now getting forced into overtime. And that really doesn't sit well as far as morale goes out there with our officers. So, I mean, we need to get moving on this staffing as soon as possible. And yes, the problem is putting it back down to HR is just going to slow the process down, and it's going to make it harder for us to get officers and even very qualified officers. So we need to get things going in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McGee? Vice President McGee?
Now we're on the officers. I want to talk about something. I'm totally in agreement with you, but I believe that City Council should be more involved with the hiring process as well as HR. I know I see that look on your face, Mindy, but I know it's more than likely illegal, but just have an understanding of what the process is for hiring our officers. As some may know, I'm a business global process leader, and I also am an HR professional. We need to understand, the City Council need to understand what the hiring process is all about when it comes to the police officers. And I think that we need to make that clear to not just us, to the people of Warren. They deserve that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Noonan?
Well, I'm sorry if I have offended anybody relative to what I had to say about Reverend Curtis Oshkosh at the Senior Housing Commission meeting. I should have made it clear that I was only speaking as an individual, though people in the audience were saying, "You're a councilman now." That's true. I am a councilman now. And I should have only spoken for myself because I wasn't there with the City Council's authorization to call out someone who I thought was sitting on the Senior Housing Commission despite not following the city charter in regard to former felons. We have it in our city charter that former felons cannot serve on our commissions. And I was trying not to be offensive or rude about it. It's just, I believe that's the way it is. Also, appointment from our mayor appointment list for Curtis Oshkosh never came over to us. He is not sitting on the commission properly, and I think that calls into question, as far as I can tell. I think that calls into question everything that the commission does while they have him voting on things. And not only just the Senior Housing Commission, but other commissions also seem to have people who are not properly on there according to the city charter. And I don't mean it to be offensive, I just mean that these are matters that I believe should be corrected so that our city is running correctly, so that there is less exposure to legal challenges. And so I'll leave it to the audience and, you know, our TV audience, the people in the room, to determine, was that rude? I don't have anything to say about, you know, it seems that Reverend Curtis Oshkosh is doing a lot of good work. I don't think I have anything particularly bad to say about him. He is a former felon, as far as I know, and as far as I can tell, he should not be serving on the Senior Housing Commission. And I think that the city attorney who was sitting on the commission said that she'd get back to me about it. I thought she was going to get back to me the next day. I haven't heard from her yet. You know, so anyways, I apologize if I've hurt or, you know, offended anybody's feelings. That was not my intent.
Thank you.
Madam-
Anyone else?
Madam Chair, just one comment. Ms. McGee, I did not mean that we shouldn't understand about the policy. Just, I don't think we want to get involved in the actual hiring. But you're absolutely right. We should know what the practices are. I mean, we found out that they were advertising in the Detroit News in a hard copy, and that people can't apply for jobs online. I mean, that's a problem. And there may be restrictions, we don't know, perhaps with the consent judgment that exists between the Department of Justice and the City of Warren that was, I don't know, back in 2002 or 2003. It was right before I got on council. But there could be some mandates or things in that judgment that says you have to do this. But maybe we could go back, speak with the Justice Department, have that modified in some way that brings it up to present day. Because it just doesn't make sense to advertise in a hard copy of the Detroit News. I don't know if my kids ever looked at a hard copy of the Detroit News.
They don't.
And we should have all online application. I think we'd get a lot more response to all of the open positions if people could do that. And you probably know that better than the rest of us.
And it's not just the police department.
Right.
It's every department. We need to get up to speed with the current HR
requirements.
Right.
programs so that we can get people hired.
Right, and Ms.
All
McGee,
across
Ms.
the
McGee
board.
probably has great ideas how we can accomplish all that, and that would be much appreciated
Right.
if she'd share those, certainly.
Thank you.
Anything further? I just want to say thank you again to the Communications Department. This clock is very helpful so that there is no objectivity around the timing of folks coming up to the podium. So thank you very much for this today. Next item.
Motion to adjourn.
Support Lafferty.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We're adjourned.